Critical components for the Gakrux Dyson frame have been set for export from Alpha Andromedae. Next, we have a few small maintenance issues to take care of right here at home, a possible expansion to Alrami 2's photon production apparatus, and then a return to Gakrux to continue the establishment of rocket production. Lots to do, holy crap. Huh. Hello Legion, this is Hadrian. Thank you for being here. Let's play some more Dyson Sphere Program. Oh, that's the problem. In our Alpha Andromedae series. So it looks like iron might be in shortage. It is. Question is, are we completely out here? We're getting close, but we still have additional deposits, so let's go ahead and solve that issue first and foremost. I can import it when it's time to import it, but that time is not necessarily now. Where's the best I see two. And in reasonably good positions. So I'm going to go ahead and mine both of them and combine their inputs so that we're being efficient about this. Let's place you there. And then we'll just put a satellite substation down here. We can start mining. And I'll go ahead and also place right about here a splitter, which we will then connect, and now we just need to go grab the other iron, which is down here. Perfect. Now it looks like this already is going to be powered just by virtue of where it is, so I don't have to connect it, and I can send you this way. Oh, there it is. Perfection. Alright, so if I bring you to about right here, and then tell you to go straight, you will go straight into that sorter. We have a few more lines over here to build. So iron being in shortage on this planet is kind of a big deal. And it might be worthwhile to go ahead and set up the export, or the import of iron from the planets that already have it on the way. Well, it's not really going anywhere because I don't have it importing yet, but I have planets set up to export iron. So let's see. Best place. So it looks like there is still iron coming in, just not nearly enough, which is unsurprising. So, or is that, hang on. Yeah, that's iron. So best place to merge the lines would be right here where we have this elevation. God, it's funny. Yeah, this is technically no longer necessary, but it gives me an opportunity. So let's place a splitter. Yo, what you doing? Come on. Shouldn't take 3 clicks. There's that. Alright, so over here, we have all of our fresh iron from new deposits. Let's just build a straight line, then put it back on the grid. Good. Looks like it's connected. Absolutely lovely to see the speed at which my bots are generally working nowadays. Just keeps getting better and better and better and better. Okay. And let's just find the exact spot that would be easiest to kind of bring this straight up. It's more or less right there, right? Yeah. Yeah. I brought it to the right spot by happenstance. That worked out. We'll have to move it slightly here, but that's okay. It's part of the game. We can bring it straight in here. And now we're going to have iron arriving in much more profound quantities. And of course, all getting proliferated still. So now let's make sure that that fully saturates everything. It should. because everything was running when iron was set up properly. So that's that, and that explains why we are not making enough of these. But we should start seeing some more iron coming down the line now. There it is. It'll take a while for everything to get back up to speed, but let's see how quickly it stacks, because it looks like there's already a good amount making it past the first several producers here, which is good news. What that tells me is that, oh yeah, this is very good news. I think it's already going to start perfect. All right, so that was a very rapid saturation, because that's more or less the end of the iron line right there, the iron ingot line at least. Now, one other thing I want to do, I spent so much time at the end of the last episode. It was kind of hilarious, but also frustrating. Consensus in the comments is that this is the culprit. This guy right here is the reason that I can't do what I was trying to do in the previous episode. So let's place it in a slightly different spot. And then maybe use... I hate this because it's a downgrade, but... there we go. Alright, so if we do that... nope, that wasn't the problem. It must be, at this point... it's too close to another logistics station. Okay, so that... was it telling me that the whole time? Because that would have been very annoying just to have not read the text on the screen. But see, it says it's too close to another logistics station. So that might be the main issue. And if that's the case, hang on. Let me try one thing. And if this doesn't do it, I don't care. I officially no longer care. Which might be hard for some of you to believe, I know. But we're not going to spend more than a couple of seconds on this. Alright, so we've brought this back a little bit. This is not going to grab the whole deposit if it works. Too close to another logistics station. No, it's still saying that. Even though I made room for it. It's because there's another one? No? Okay. Well, I don't care. That coal can be mined, I guess, more traditionally by a basic miner like this. We might even be able to set up two if I'm careful about it. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so now we've got those connected. I just want to have that deposit being mined somehow. Please. You know? Alright, and then the best place to send it... do we have any coal lines in this general area? Yeah, we do, actually. Right here. So it looks like it's primarily being... yeah, this is actually a little bit better than I expected. We do have a piler set up here, so technically if we're going to do this very effectively, we should have another piler. Let's go ahead and connect a line here. And build just a little bit of landfill. Just a little bit. There we go. That was honestly more than intended, but I'll take it. We'll build the automatic piler here. It is not powered, but it is now. And now we just need to get this line fed into that piler. Will you go straight through? What if I elevate you by 1? Yes, you will if I elevate you by 1. So that's kind of lucky that that worked that smoothly. Bring it across here. Bring it down here. And bring it into the piler. And there we go. So it's not going to be nearly as fast, unfortunately, as a fully fledged miner, but at least the room that I made and the time that I spent was not wasted there. So, having done that, I think I'm content that I've kind of figured out the problem over here. So next step, let's take a look at, yeah, I've got plenty of ray receivers at the moment. It was mentioned to me by one of my community regulars that Alrami 2 may actually be able to be expanded. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to do what I don't normally do. which is I'm going to just stare at the interface of a system that I'm still learning myself and just try and figure it out, because I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. But apparently what I was saying in the previous episode or two about the maximum power load already being drawn from these receivers was not the case. And so I'm kind of curious. There's a couple different ways I could go about this. I could look at the interface and see if I can piece together what it's saying. This can be difficult to do since this is a Chinese-developed game and they translate all of their statistical and otherwise linguistic communication into English. So not everything is smooth. It's very well translated in a lot of respects, but not everything is smooth. So it can be tough to understand some of the more complex mechanics. But it's also just the saturation of the ray receivers by the Dyson Sphere, the Dyson Swarm, all of the power that's available to them, and the way that those statistics are presented, I think would be fairly difficult to comprehend and learn on the fly, even if not for the translation issue. So I'm going to give it a shot. I've taught stats, so I'm not a simpleton, but doing it while commentating can be challenging. However, I have looked at it before. It's not like I've never attempted to understand it. It's just when I first set this up, I kind of just said, well, let me just set up a bunch of these and that should be good. So, this is currently... Alright, so strength is at 100%. So this increases the maximum output of the ray receiver. They're all generating photons, with no exceptions. Continuous receiving is at 100%. That just piles up for a while once the building has been down. So it starts out at 0 and then slowly climbs to 100, gets better and better. That's one of the reasons you want this geosynchronous, or not geosynchronous, but tidally locked planet. Max output, 240 megawatts. Now we're not outputting energy here. Receiving efficiency, 83.87. This represents the energy transmission efficiency from the Dyson Sphere to the ray receiver. It can be increased by technology upgrade and continuous working. Yeah, so that's something that we're working on increasing. Requested power shows the current requested power by the ray receiver from the Dyson Sphere. When the power of Dyson Sphere is insufficient, actual allocated power will be less than the requested power. In addition, due to ray receiving efficiency, the requested power will be greater than the rated output power of the receiver. Energy loss can be reduced by continuous operation. Dyson Sphere status. So the current total requested power and total power generation performance of this Dyson Sphere. So hang on, let's see if I can do one more piece of math here, because this is relatively straightforward. We have, and this is I have this in a blueprint, so I don't even have to count myself. This is 45 in a row, and then we have 6 altogether. So 40 times 6, it's 240. 270 of these. That's how many we have. Now, here's what I want to see if I can wrap my head around. Right now it's saying requested power 15.7 megawatts of 286. That's what I don't quite understand how to interpret. Yes, I read the tooltip. It didn't help that much. And it's either because it's just labyrinthine to begin with, or like I said, there's some lost in translation stuff mixing in, which my guess would be it's a little bit of both. So, crap, how many did I decide there were? There were 270? Alright, so there's 270 of these. Because I have 45 in a row, and then, yeah, it's 270 for sure. So if I have 270, and they're currently bringing in this much, that's just doing the math. Yes, I'm doing it in my head. Shut up. So, here's what I'm going to do here, because I don't want to waste too much time trying to figure it out. I think it's fuzzy head math. I'm not doing it exactly, because that many decimal places is about the limits of my ability to quickly do head math. I don't have a piece of paper near me, so that makes it a little bit harder as well. But my interpretation of this, which I explained a few episodes ago, is that we are pulling as much from this as possible. But maybe it's possible that we can do better. And so while I can do the math here, and what I was generally trying to figure out is, you know, if I multiply this number by 270, do I get 4.24? Because that more or less tells me that I'm draining all that I can from this. And that what I really need to do is increase the power output. But I might be misreading this screen. And we can talk about it in the comments, because this is one of the most complicated interface elements in Dyson Sphere Program. And like, I would love, not only for my benefit, but for the benefit of other people learning the game, if there could be just some constructive conversation about what exactly these numbers represent by someone who knows how to explain them. Not saying that anyone who's tried to explain it doesn't know how to explain it, you know what I mean? The point is just that this is one of the most complex elements of the game. I don't fully understand it just because of the issues that I've described. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull these into my inventory. Also, is there anything I can put out of my inventory right now? There probably is if I look closely. Yeah, I can put these away. I can put these away, and I can put these away, just to give myself a little bit of extra room. But what I want to do is just, I mean, if the commenter that pointed this out to me is correct about how this works, then what's going to happen here, very straightforwardly, is we'll see an output increase in the overall, you know, photon generation of this planet. We will. We absolutely will. Now the question is, hang on. Yeah, I want to make sure I've lined this up properly. All right, so here it's... I can actually count the tiles here, so it's... They're exactly 10 apart. Perfect. So that means if I want to place this perfectly, I just need to put it here. And it'll be evenly spaced. So let's go ahead and shift enter on that. And then shift enter on that. So we're going to do 2 more rows and just go ham building all this. Now the first thing I want to do is go ahead and connect these, so that as I am getting this going, everything can function optimally and start working. So if our commenter is correct, and again, no reason to doubt them, that interpretation that they gave me is at odds with my understanding of how the system works, then we will see an increase in output. If I'm correct, then basically what's going to happen is all of these are going to split the total energy that they're pulling in even more finely between themselves, and we won't see a change in output. And if worse comes to worse, and we, like, in terms of having a discussion about it, if there's not a lack of, if there's not a, like, an abundance of clarity within the next couple of episodes of comments, I would say I'll probably just do some Googling, watch some additional content, and try and figure it out myself, because it is something I would like to understand better. I feel like the information that's presented, like, I kind of know what it's trying to tell me, but it's not perfectly clear that it's being laid out properly. No disrespect to the developers whatsoever. This is common when you have, you know, this level of complexity in a game that's made first and foremost in another language. And there are translation errors elsewhere in the game. So it's not like I'm just, you know, making up the idea of there being additional translation errors. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect you So it's going to take a moment for all of this to kick in. Now notice that all of these are already, I mean, not quite. We still have to produce more lenses, but a number of these are already using up those graviton lenses, which is nice. So that huge amount of backstock that we built up here on this planet is now gone because we need to produce more. But here's what I'm curious about. If we look at like the last hour and then we go down to critical photon, right now we're looking at 180.3, 10 minutes at 170. Now it's at 168. So let's see if the numbers have changed. See? Requested power on the existing buildings has now changed to 13.9. Interesting, huh? It's a complicated system. So, not saying who's right and who's wrong. We're still working on it. My interpretation of it is that there's a certain amount of power that can be pulled from the Dyson Sphere. And right now we just have a Dyson swarm in the system, 2 Dyson swarms. And that it is split between a certain number of ray receivers, and that you can, in fact, build an inadequate number of ray receivers, but once you've built an adequate number, if you build more than that, you can't magically get more out of the Dyson swarm if you're already getting its maximum potential. So the key is in understanding the requested power information. Now, this might change once these have been sitting for a moment. Again, these have to come all the way up to 100% continuous receiving, and what might be causing the drop is that. And it could be that once these are back up to 100%, all of these right here, not 100% here, but 100% continuous receiving, which is going to take a while for the new ones, the numbers might bounce back. That's why it's good to have a discussion about what exactly these things mean. Right now, I'm looking at a production rate of 179.8 critical photons over the last hour. Now, I do see that it's 192 per minute now that I've built a few more. And that is at least one piece of evidence in the direction of, okay, we can do more by building additional lines. So I'm not going to do anything more this episode. I've just expanded the network by, what did I have previously? 6? So that's a 33% expansion, which is not nothing. So for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete that. So I am seeing photons sneak their way onto the line. I'm going to let just what I've built here run. And we'll, like I said, we'll talk about it in the comments. But now what I'd like to do is head back to Gakrux. We have about 10-ish minutes left in the episode. Let's head that direction. Alright, so research is making good progress on the cargo stacking. I'm really excited for that particular project to be done. We've been waiting for it for a while, but it's a very important piece of progress. And then the very next one is ray transmission efficiency, which will help with the thing we just set up, regardless of the interpretation of that whole thing. Regardless of whether my read on it was correct, or the commenter's read on it was correct, or some mixture of both. Who knows? We'll figure it out. So we've arrived here. God, it's so cool to see those just firing that rapidly. 6.7 gigawatts now. Although it looks like something did briefly drop in efficiency. I wonder what. Let's pay a visit over here and see if we can figure out what that was. Oh, you know what it was? It was probably when I started building Yeah, it's probably when I started building these. Maybe I'm not quite producing enough of these now. So why don't we, I mean, we can fix that. That's not hard to fix. Let's just add some additional love to this line. Let's see. Yeah, let's do 8 more. Why not? We should be able to support it. And now we have a little bit more production of those. Now the question is, will the line stay saturated? I think it should. Generally, I want to see this filling up rather than emptying out, and that's what it looks like it's doing. So I just want to make sure I don't run out of Dyson sails, or rather of solar sails, and lose the ability to have those guns all continuously firing as much as possible. So it looks like what I just did might have helped a good bit. Yeah, this is no longer full. Interesting that that happened. So I'm glad I caught that. All right, so we now have a very important import occurring here. An important import. It is, though. So we're bringing in frame materials. We probably need to produce them here, too, because as we can tell, I mean, we're not getting a steady flow from Alpha Andromeda 2, which I didn't even really expect that would happen, in all honesty. So we'll need to make sure that we are building some here as well, which was kind of the plan to begin with, and then I went back and forth because I wanted to make sure I wasn't just abandoning previous infrastructure that I'd set up. So we'll probably end up using quantum chemical plants. It looks like I can make a few in my inventory just with the stuff that I have, which is nice. I honestly wasn't expecting that. They do require titanium glass, and thankfully that is the good that I need to import. So let's take a close look at this. The next thing we need to start producing, we're already producing the Dyson Sphere component. We need to produce small carrier rockets, which will require copious amounts of quantum chips, which will require copious amounts of plane filters, which will require the titanium glass that we're importing, and Casimir crystals as well. Now, Casimir crystals are a little bit easier. They will require optical grading crystal, hydrogen, and graphene, which I already have. So let's take a look at where those resources are being imported. Looks like graphene and optical grading crystal are coming in here. Do I already have hydrogen set up somewhere? I believe I did. Yeah, hydrogen's right here. So best thing to do probably is just set up. Let's look at where ideally it would need to be. If we were going to start making Casimir crystals from this recipe, and then combining them with plane filters, or using them to make plane filters, we'd be combining them with the imported titanium glass in order to make quantum chips. And then we just need processors. So these would need to be aligned with, yeah, nothing I'm producing here. Everything would be, literally everything would be imported. So it's just a matter of placing them somewhere where the output could easily support a large-scale small carrier rocket operation. So I would say probably somewhere a little bit closer to the equator. I've got vast swaths of territory here that I haven't infringed upon because I want to be able to launch large amounts of rockets. So maybe something in this general area here. Let's take a look at this, because these will combine with the small carrier rockets starting at this point. So an additional line maybe up in this area here would be the best place, and that is ideal, honestly. So let's go ahead and let's place the storage, like where this resource is going to be, you know? Let's go ahead and get that down, because why not? see. I think I can put it there. Now, I do need to build some additional storage here if I really want to have a nice, tall buffer. Okay, that's better. So I'm going to change... Yeah, so this line is going to input from about here. We're reverse engineering this just so that the final outputs can be in a reasonably good position. All right, that little J-curve was not meant to be there. Was not meant to be there. All right, so... So let's go ahead and build just one for now. We'll have an output here. And then what we will be outputting, not the small carrier rockets, but the things we need for the small carrier rockets. Because the small carrier rockets are going to require these. So the end product is going to be the quantum chip that we're producing right here. Quantum chips will go here, which means we will have a line of... let's go ahead and say that... Yeah, I'm fine with this. Let's do it this way. We're gonna bring plane filters in from this direction. There's that. And are these processors? Yeah, that's kind of perfect. So they're already being used over here, so this just needs to be split very straightforwardly. So if we do a splitter here, we can reconnect that line. Didn't realize it wasn't perfectly on the grid, but we'll live with that. We can live with a slight aesthetic deviation. And then we just need to bring this down here. So here's one of our key resources for those. And then we just need to have the plane filters being made. And that's the other key resource. So we will need to have a second line. First of all, let's bring you all the way over. And the plane filters will be on a line starting right about here, I would guess. It's interesting because I haven't done it this way in the series so far, but just knowing that I'm going to want to have these resources close together, it's making me prioritize thinking a little bit differently about this entire thing. Okay, so now the plane filters will sit, let's see. First thing I need to do, I suppose, is go ahead and get these fully built. So let's have 10 of those ready to go. So now I can see a little bit more clearly like where the plane filter output needs to start. And also, quick question, let's take a look at the ratios here. 2 titanium glass makes 12 seconds. You take 6 seconds. All right, so these are going to produce twice as fast. But it requires 2 of each. So it might be a 1-to-1 ratio. So I might be able to get away with just doing 10. Let's try that. Why are you still attaching sorters there? That is one mechanic about this game that I don't quite understand. Maybe it's just because I haven't switched to building something else. That's what it is. So even though I've disabled the building, if I bring it back up, it will still try to continue building the previous thing that I had copy-pasted, that I had shift-clicked. That's interesting. I've noticed that many times, but I've never actually sat and been like, why is it still putting sorters on this? I've moved on to something else. If you don't try to build something else, like some other type of assembler, or whatever it is you were copy-pasting, it might be a smelter, then yeah. It'll work a little differently. Okay, so right about here needs to be the output for the plane smelters. Where are you? There you are. Oh wait, no, hang on. Still need to get some ingredients in here. So we need the Casimir crystal and we need the titanium glass. Now the titanium glass is going to be imported, and the Casimir crystal is going to be made here using imported goods in just a moment. So we can set that up in a second. I hope I have enough room here. I think I do, but I don't know for sure. I do. Good. Got enough room. Happy about that. So, yeah, let's place another substation at the same basic position as this one, but just designed to support the power of this section of things. Alright, so now we have this production apparatus set up. We just need to get the inputs running. So there are a couple that I need to set up. I haven't actually gotten these importing yet, so I think this is the obvious choice for the titanium glass. Let's go ahead and make that remote demand here. And it should... There might be other ships transmitting stuff. There might be a bottleneck, because that stuff should be on its way. Possibly once some of this other stuff has been emptied out, we'll start getting it, but that's a little bit disappointing because I was hoping to see a large amount just kind of start piling in right away. Let me make sure that what I just did didn't change anything here. It doesn't appear that it did. I'm going to be much more vigilant about that now. Okay, so the titanium glass is going to be on that bottom line there. And so we just need to get Casimir crystal production set up. And that's fairly straightforward because, again, we already have all the goods that we need for it, and they're already sitting in the towers ready to go. Do we have any titanium glass on the way yet? No, we don't. It makes me want to, like, go back and make sure that I actually set it to remote supply, but, I mean, it's remote supply by default. So my impression here is just that there are too many ships already bringing stuff. But that also doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense because I'm looking at the amount of things that are currently being transported, like just the sheer quantities, and it's not 10 transports worth of things. So where's my titanium glass, basically? I'll probably have to figure that out at the beginning of the next episode. If it doesn't show up on its own, I'll get the crystals, Casimir crystals, being made first. And then we can start building small carrier rockets. And it's just a matter of building the launch facilities, which are complex, but we have a lot of the goods we need for them here. And then we can set up some additional facilities to get them in mass production here relatively quickly. And then we start launching them, and we start building an actual sphere around this star. Especially now that this is not going to dip back and forth like that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to follow along. New episodes are coming out every day at noon U.S. Eastern Time, and comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.